One of our new EcoDrive releases for 2022 is this EcoDrive Diver 200-meter Diver's Watch. The dial evokes the endangered whale shark and the beautiful blue seas where it lives. Famous as the world's largest fish, the whale shark is a favorite of the diving community. Whale sharks live in warm tropical waters and dive as deep as 1,000 meters to search for food. Ultimately, very little is known about them. Many whale shark surveys are currently underway. The more we learn about whale sharks and the better we protect them, the better we can save our oceans. The deep blue of the dial and bezel evokes the beautiful seas where whale sharks live. The dial also features a subtle dot pattern to evoke the whale shark's skin. The contrast between the ocean blue and the all-black case gives this model a very striking appearance. A portion of the revenue from this model will go to support marine conservation activities. In 1976, Citizen released the world's first light-powered analog quartz watch. The solar cell sat on top of the dial, and the running time was quite short. We set ourselves a challenge. How far can we reduce energy consumption while still properly powering the watch? Through a series of improvements over decades, our watches can now run for a long time on a small amount of energy, enabling us to place the solar cell under the dial. While cutting energy consumption, we've also refined
Solar. It is the design classic from Max Bill from 1961, and we managed to equip it with high-tech materials. So without losing the timeless beauty and without changing its outer appearance, this is the Bauhaus watch of a new century. It incorporates high-tech material like titanium. The watch is app-connected, has an absolute precision which comes from the radio control technology. It is super energy efficient, and it even has a smart perpetual calendar. So the first look is very familiar. So talking about the material, we produce it in titanium, and we all know titanium is a high-tech material which is used in aviation, which is used in space, but also in medical instruments because it is super skin-friendly. Talking about the leather straps, they're also very skin-friendly as the straps are vegetable tanned. That means without any chemicals. And we even use the root of the rhubarb plant to get the tanning. And if you turn it around, you see the inner lining of this leather strap. And this is made from Alcantara. And you may know Alcantara from luxury sports seats, which is very comfortable. For what the watch can offer, it is surprisingly light. So this version with leather strap weighs only 24 grams. And if you take the version with a titanium Milanese strap, these are only 39 grams, which is Amazing. Let me come back to the energy efficiency, which is really impressive. So 2 minutes of sunlight are sufficient to keep the power reserve going, and it has a power reserve of up to 3 years in sleep mode. So if you really want to know how much power reserve this watch still has, you may simply take the corrector, press the button for 6 seconds, and you watch the position of the second hand. Here it is at 2 seconds, so that means the watch is fully charged. If the second hand would be lower down, it would mean the watch needs more sunlight. We introduced this watch in 4 versions. We have 2 dials with the classical Arabic numbers, and we have the 2 with classic indexes. You can also choose between a bright, almost white dial and with a very specific and unique light grey dial. And last but not least, the watch is app connected, so it is actually your guarantee to feed in any time signal. So if you do not have any reception, you still take advantage of the absolute precision. That means the watch has a deviation of maximum 8 seconds per year, which is absolutely incredible. You only need to download the app, and the app will give you the opportunity to feed in a time, but it also gives you the news on Junghans and informations on the watch as well as on the app. In order to do so, you need to prepare the watch to receive a signal, and you do this by pressing the pusher for 3 seconds. And then in less than 30 seconds, you can feed in the time signal. So I hope you enjoy exploring the new Maxbill Mega Solar. It's definitely the Bauhaus watch.
Hey there, I'm Ryan. I'm co-founder of Vaer Watches, and today I'm going to do a quick getting started guide for your D4 or DS4 solar dive watch. I have here in front of me our D4 Meridian in 38 millimeters and our DS4 Meridian in 42 millimeters. Now, for the sake of our getting started and operation of the watches, they have relatively the same operation and functionality overall. So I'll use the D4 for example. So you're looking at this watch. The first thing is the bezel. Now these watches and all of our dive watches have a unidirectional bezel. Now what does that mean? That means the bezel only spins one way counterclockwise. Now the purpose of that for diving, if you're trying to set a dive timer to see how long you've been under the water, you only want the bezel to spin counterclockwise so that your time will only go down. If your time went up, you could accidentally stay underwater too long and run out of air. So that's the original function of that unidirectional bezel. Now, I personally haven't used it so much for diving. A lot of people these days use dive computers for that, but you can use it for plenty of other things, marking the time when something happens, using it as a quick timer. It's just a cool little extra tool to have on your watch. Now going into the actual timekeeping of the watch. Now these watches are solar powered, so something you may notice is the dial of the watch is actually slightly transparent. Now the dial is where the indices are and where that Vaer logo is. It's slightly transparent in order to allow light to get through and charge the watch. And so a key point here is keeping the watch charged. Now these solar watches, both of them have awesome reserves. I believe the DS4 is 4 months and this is 6 months when it's full. And so in order to have it charged, it simply needs light exposure. Now it's approximately 6 hours of sunlight for 6 months of power reserve. So it doesn't take much. Something that is important to note, upon receipt of your D4 or DS4 watch, it may not have power. Either the second hand may be jumping at 2-minute increments, twitching, or stopped entirely. That's completely normal. Simply put it in the sun or under light for a day or so when you get it. Again, if you have bright sunlight, it doesn't take a full day. 1 hour, every 1 hour of sunlight is about a month of charge. Now, if you don't have access to bright sunlight, if you're in a cloudier, overcast place, that's also okay. The solar watches can be charged by down to candlelight, lamplight, any lights within your rooms, so anything will work. They just need regular light exposure, so we don't recommend storing them, in a dark drawer or anything like that. It's always ideal to have it stored in some kind of environment where they get light.